15, okay? It's every day I get 10, 20 freaking calls, excuse my French, but it's so annoying. And basically, finally, the FCC said this is it. It's going to be illegal. And basically, what's going to happen now is, like, for example, let's say you went online to get insurance, let's say information on life insurance. This is an example. Whoever, like, puts that ad out, like, let's say you went on Facebook or something, like, if it was, so like, it's all going to be different now, where, like, if I put an ad and you responded to it, then I would have to call you myself. And if you didn't, like, purchase insurance for me, I can't even give your name to another agent in my insurance agency. So, like, it's like what they call it, one lead, one person from now on. So let's say, for example, you went online looking to say credit card or mortgage insurance from Wells Fargo, right? They were able to basically take your name, and that's all you can get a phone call on is mortgage. They can't even give your name to anyone else in their company. So now, basically so age data, like that data where, like, people call you from old leads, that's all going to be illegal. And the only way to call you would be on something that you, like, basically opted in like, the last 30 days or so. So it's going to, so everyone, all those seniors that are getting a million phone calls a day, this is why they finally changed it, because everyone's been complaining for years. And now finally the FCC is going to change it. And they're going to say that every offense is $1,500 penalty. So you're going to find that it's going to take, probably a couple of years before, like, consumers aren't, like, scared to answer the phone, because right now they don't want to answer the phone because they don't recognize the number. They think it's a telemarketer. So it's going to take time, for people to get adjusted to it. But it's going to really be like the old days when someone calls you. It's going to really be for something you really want to speak to.
I mean, that's kind of how it works now. TCPA is a violation unless you have a prior business relationship, or the secret being affiliates. And so, of course, affiliates is how they got around with it. Oh, yeah, the grocery store, they are affiliated with this random company. That's how they got your number, because of the grocery rewards. That's their workaround. And I mean, for you specifically, whenever the people in, I assume it's India, who run these call centers called me, I gave them all the information, and that was your consent to call me. But where they got, I have no idea.
Right. So basically what happened was, like, India and Pakistan and all these countries, they're buying data from data providers, like people who, like, at some point someone went online and requested information, right? And that's but the thing was that, like, these data providers, they all got greedy, and that instead of selling, and the laws are changing now, where the data provider can only sell your name to one company, whereas right now they're able to sell your name to as many companies as they want. So they would sell that same data, even though they would probably tell them, the call center, oh, we're only selling it to you. They got greedy, and they would sell it to everyone and their mother. Okay? Excuse my French, but that's what was happening,
Yeah.
And so now they're going to outlaw that also. So now age data is going to be pretty much illegal. And the other thing is that all they're doing is using a robo-dialing.
Yep.
Right? They're not dialing one number at a time. They're putting a number into a system, what they call a predictive dialer. And all they do is they just wait at the phone. And when a call is answered, no voicemail, but a regular voice picks up, it rings them. So they're not even dialing a phone anymore. That's all going to be illegal also. So it's all going to go back to the old days where you're going to have to manually dial the phone. And it's all designed to basically put an end to all this stuff. Because, the consumer's getting, people are getting 30, 40 phone calls a day for the same thing. And, seniors, it's not fair. So, what goes around comes around. They all got greedy, and now they're going to all pay the price. And I'm happy about it because my lead gen is all done, like, it's all organic. In other words, I do my own, I place my own ads on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube. So for me, it's actually good because, I'm not buying data. I'm not using call centers to call people. I'm not doing any of that. I'm just basically, putting ads on Facebook and stuff like that. And people who respond, they fill out a form. And when I call them up, they're going to answer. Right now, they're not. It's going right to voicemail most of the time. They won't answer the phone because they think they don't recognize the number, right?
Yeah.
It can take time until they finally feel comfortable, but it probably take a few years or so, maybe even more. But, like, I'm 61 years old, but, like, my son, who's first getting into this business now, he's 22. So I'm hoping for him, in 5-10 years from now, it will be a much better business to be in, because, when you call somebody who, says to you, oh, this is the 10th phone call I got today about the same thing, they're not going to want to talk to you. You know what I mean? Because they just took from other people. So it's going to go. It's a good thing for for the younger generation is really what it comes down to. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, hopefully things change because, of course, they also fake their phone number. So if you call back the number they called you from, it just doesn't go anywhere. It just is out of service, or it's some innocent person, even though that's the number shows on the caller ID. And so it's constant.
But basically, by the way, are you on the DNC list?
Yeah, I am. You didn't violate it because I gave whoever initially called me permission to follow up with this. But yeah.
Right. I'm just saying, like, what I do is after I get someone life insurance or whatever it is, health insurance, I say, look, if you want to put it into the phone calls, I can show you how to get on it, because a lot of people don't even know, they don't know about it, seniors. And I help people get on it. I give them the phone number to call, and they get on there and they stop the calls. So just the reason why I mentioned this, if you wanted to stop the calls, what I find is when you're on that list, you actually get more calls.
Probably, yeah.
But people don't. Yeah, and the other thing is like the DNC list. What people don't realize is that there's nothing illegal to calling somebody who didn't opt in one time manually. You can, right, as long as you're not using a robo dialer like we talked about earlier, you can call anyone you want one time. It's the second time where it becomes a violation. So people don't even realize that. That's why it doesn't really put an end to the phone calls,
And also, like,
but now with the new rule coming down,
like, charities and political parties are exempt anyway. So it's election year. We're gonna get so many calls. Election year, go out and vote. Go register.
God.
It's gonna be so bad.
Oh God, I know. Yep. I understand. So anyway, getting back to final expense coverage. Do you have any in place at all yet?
No.
Okay. And were you looking to basically just cover your funeral or cremation, or were you looking to leave anything behind for your daughter?
None. That's why I called, because that's what I was going to debrief you on. So when these Indians call, I feed them all kinds of bullshit information, and then I see where it goes. Sometimes it stays in-house.
Right.
There's like 3 or 4 agents, and they sell me a policy on the spot. Sometimes someone else calls me. This is one of those situations where someone else called me. It happens to be you. So it's... that's what I'm trying to figure out. Like, who are these people? Who's making these initial calls from India? I guess that are.
Right. Yeah, like I said, they call from age data from information that you requested, and unfortunately, the publisher who's whatever form you filled out is selling your name to too many different people is what it comes down to. So it's not really the call center's fault. It's really, in my opinion, it's really the data provider's fault, because they're the ones that, they're selling your name 100 times over,
Maybe what happens is, because they sometimes say, again, everything these Indians say is complete BS, but they do mention like filling out an application, so maybe they do the cold calling, the spoofing and everything.
Correct.
If you give them valid information, they fill it out a form online, and then you get my information that way. And so they're like doing that on your... Yeah, it's hard to say. I can never trace it. I've gotten another person. He was this guy I want to say he was in Mississippi or Missouri. Also old. He was like in his 60s, real thick Southern accent. Seemed like such a nice guy. And so he... Again, after I talked to the Indians, he eventually called me back. I'm like, I can't waste this guy's time. He's just way too sweet for me to lead him on for 30 minutes talking about life insurance. But he's like, no, all my sources are legit. I pay him like $20 a lead, and they're good guys. They do everything by the book. I'm like, well, how'd you get my number then? Because I only answer the Indians. I never fill out. I'm not even in my 60s. So like I've never filled out any. How does this work?
Well, what happens is they give us the numbers. That's what they do. It's either done two ways. It's either by a live transfer, right, which is how I got you, or by a posted lead. Meaning they say, okay, this person's interested, I'll go call them. But I don't do posted leads at all, because 9 out of 10 times it's just no one picks up the phone. Waste of time for me. So most of my business comes from self-generated stuff on Facebook and YouTube and TikTok and And that's the route that I'm going. Because I mean, to be honest with you, the quality of this type of stuff is not the same as when someone goes. It's all about what they call speed to lead, meaning like Harvard University did studies that show like if you get back to somebody within like 7 minutes from the time they fill out the form, there's like a 700% better like chance that you're gonna like be interested in getting a policy than if they filled it out like 2 days before, because it's on their mind at that moment, right? So that's why live transfers are the best, because you're speaking to someone who at that moment really wants to talk about life insurance rather than like they fill out something in 1 minute and then they decide like the next. You know how we are. We always change our mind. And I tell you, and this is like life insurance is an emotional thing, right? Most of my clients, I ask them straight, what made you decide right now to what was the reason why you seriously considering your options when it comes to did something happen recently? Did you have a funeral or a hospital scare or an accident or something like that? And 9 out of 10 times they're like, yeah, as a matter of fact, this one died, that one died, had this accident. And then, the other one every time is just like, I'm getting older and I think it's just time, but it's definitely, it's one of those. I mean, why else would someone decide now's the time to get life insurance? Either they feel like they're getting older or something happened recently. They're like, maybe someone passed away and either they witnessed their family struggling to pay or it happened to them. I mean, why else would you? You know what I mean? And when I speak to people on the phone that are young and they tell me I'm like, wow, this is a pleasant surprise, because most people who are young don't really care about life insurance, but that's really the time to get it because it's so much cheaper, and and also life insurance isn't just about when you pass away. Life insurance, and a lot of people don't realize this, it's really great for retirement. It's better than an IRA. It's like like a Roth IRA. It's like a rich man's Roth IRA, because Roth IRAs, you're limited to how much you can put in. Whereas with life insurance, it's unlimited. So that's like a lot of people use life insurance as a savings tool. It's a phenomenal savings tool because it grows tax deferred, and then at the end it's tax free. You get the money, and you can really accumulate. Over 20, 30 years, you can accumulate millions of dollars. Just putting away $400 or $500 a month from the time you're in your 30s or 40s. You can have millions of dollars for retirement. So it's not just for when you pass away, right? And also a lot of what I do is mortgage protection, which are like term plans. Like people own a home and God forbid something happens to them. They don't want their spouse to have to leave the house, or if they can't afford to finance the home mortgage, which most people can't, they at least can buy them some time to sell the house, not to be in a situation where they come up with mortgage payments until they do. Because when someone passes away, you really don't want to think about all you're really thinking about is you just lost your loved one, right? You're not really thinking about your house. You know what I mean? But then when dust settles, right, all of a sudden the house becomes very important, because either you have to move on and sell it, or you want to stay there, right? So these things are very important, and I really I enjoy this business because I really help people, and I come from a medical background. I was an orthotist prosthetist for about 20-something years. So my whole life, all I've ever done is help people, work with the disabled. But then I had an injury of my own, so I couldn't do that anymore. But I always wanted to find something that I'd be helping people. So I really feel like I'm helping people doing this, and but it's not until, unfortunately, that day happens where, it's the worst day in our lives, right? But people thank me all the time. If it wasn't for this life insurance policy, I wouldn't know where I'd be today, and this and that,
Yeah, and I think this is the hardest part about doing it this way. It's like the guy in Missouri. It's like it begins with some random call center in India who's just mass calling, but then you get to a legitimate, honest person who's a legit operation, who's licensed, who's just trying to help people. You didn't call me in the first. You're not responsible. So that's why I don't swear or get mad, or you're just trying to do your job. There's no reason to get mad at you. But this is where it ended up. So I'm like, so what do I do?
Well,
this is where it is.
So basically, at this point, yes, I think so. At this point, what I always do is, if you're interested in giving your options, what I always do is I say, okay, well, in this case, it's basically the state of California. They require me as a medical underwriter to send in my credentials. So what I would do is I would basically send you a text message with what they call my certificate. It's my NPN number. It stands for my national producer number. And basically I tell everybody the first thing I'd like you to do is go on to the state portal, insurance.ca.gov, and look up my NPN number, and you can see that I'm an active licensed medical underwriter in the state of California. And then I also send everyone my driver's license so they can see who they're talking to. Because, it's one thing hearing a voice, but it's nice to know the person, who it is. So I send you my driver's license, and I'm completely, always transparent because a lot of people don't even realize, but like to become a life insurance agent or any kind of insurance agent in the United States, you have to go through a thorough, background check. You can't have any, can't have ever committed any fraud or have any felonies or committed any crimes or, they're very strict about that. So, and also, due to the nature of insurance in general, right? Most states, including California, they give everybody what they call a free 30-day free look period. So, like, you're not really purchasing anything today. What my job really is, the way I look at it, is to try to get you approved for life insurance. And then basically, because, like, people are like, oh, let me think about that. So I'm like, well, what is it really to think about? You haven't been approved for anything yet. Like, until you know you actually can have a policy, why would you even think about whether you want to take it or not? So, like, I look at my job is to see if people can get approved as a medical underwriter. I can go on to the state portal. And I'm sort of like the Amazon of insurance. That I have access to about 30 plus carriers. So the way I look at my job is basically to ask medical questions and to basically, from my experience, see which carrier I think will most likely approve you because they all have different underwriting requirements. Like, for example, if you have COPD, I would go towards Aetna. If you have like diabetes with neuropathy, I would go towards Prosperity. I know whereas I know Aetna would deny you. I know which carriers take certain things and which ones will deny you if you have certain things, right? So that's really how I look at my job. It's not so much like a salesman type of thing because basically, like, I tell people, like, get you approved for this policy, and then it's going to come in 5 to 7 business days. And then in the meantime, you can shop around. You can get other policies. You can try to get approved for other things. And then what you want to do as a consumer is open up the policy, put them back to back with the other ones, and compare all the benefits and see which one is the best one, and then pick that one. And you have 30 days to do that. So that's kind of how I look at it because that's really what it is. So if you'd like, I can basically, ask you some medical questions and also some financial questions because I also make sure this is something completely affordable. Because what good is it if you can't pay the premium in 6 months or a year and policy lapses, right? It's not going to be there when you need it for your loved ones. So, that's all I really do is just give you your options. And, what you do with the information, to tell you the truth, is completely up to you. But that's my job is to basically, I look at myself as an information provider, So that's really what it is. So if you'd like, I can ask you some medical questions. I can go onto the portal. I can tell you which carrier I think will approve you. And then I can give you some quotes. And if you think it's something that's affordable, then I can see if we can work together to get approved by filling out an application. And then, like I said, the policy comes in the mail in 5 to 7 business days. And then at that point, you look at it, and I'll still shop around for you if you want to see if anything else comes up better when you do that on your own. And then you pick which one, you like the best. If you really want life insurance, of course. If you don't want life insurance, then, why bother? Right?
Yeah, I think for now I'm good, but I can definitely save your number in case I need it in a plan in the future. I think this is the one that's showing. I think I tried calling you back with this number, but it just rang busy. But I mean, you seem like a busy guy, so I imagine that's probably why it wasn't that it's But yeah, I mean, this is.
So you really weren't looking for life insurance?
Not at this time, but I mean, I'm happy to save your number if you, if I need one in your plan in the future. Is this a good number?
So that's fine, but let me just ask you one question before I go.
Yeah.
I mean, have you given any thought to like what would happen if God forbid something happened to you? I mean, is your daughter protected from your final expenses or no? Because I mean, I hate to tell you, but like things happen every day. We never know what tomorrow brings. I mean, you should ask yourself, like, if she's in a position to be able to pay for that, then you don't really need it. But if she's not, you should really think about, what would happen if, God forbid, something happened to you, right? That's what life insurance is for.
I think the next best play is I should sit down and actually, like, lay out both in... Because I remember saying... It might not have been to you. It might have been to the Indians. I remember saying that personally, I think cremation is fine, and that's cheaper. But I know that my children are gonna want.
I'm sorry, man.
My children.
You're breaking up a little bit. Can you say that again?
For me personally, cremation is fine, but I have a
Okay.
feeling that my children are gonna demand like a funeral and like a graveside and
Right.
all those things. They're gonna want the flowers and the service and the
Right.
whole 9 yards.
Right.
And so I should sit down
Yeah.
with them and be like, all right, let's decide once and for all, what is it gonna be? Because obviously I
Right.
have my preferences,
Exactly.
but you have to listen to your kids and what they want because so. And of course that would
So I mean, what it really
dramatically change the
I'm
price.
listening.
So
Yeah, what it really comes down to is that the state of California recommends that everybody have an average of $18,389 worth of life insurance. Where they get that number from is basically derived from the fact that, like in today's day, anyway, a burial costs anywhere between $10,000 and $30,000, but the average is, California, New York are the most expensive, but the average is between $10,000 and $15,000. You're probably looking at about $12,000-13,000 for an average funeral these days. Okay. And then basically, you think about other things like, unfortunately cleaning up the house, getting rid of belongings. If depending on whether your daughter lives close by you or not, people don't realize that sometimes they can't afford, the expense of even traveling to where their parents are. And then also the second thing is, do you want to leave her anything behind also, right? And also, any leftover medical bills, credit cards, all that kind of stuff. That's where they get the $18,000 from. And so some people have, some people have 50, some people have 30, but it really depends on what you can afford. That's really what it comes down to, right? So, just to let you know, I don't know if you're, familiar, but like cremation these days is anywhere between like $5,000 and $7,000. So that would give you an idea. So, I know you wrote down here, or you told them you were looking for 10,000. 10,000, in my personal opinion, is not really enough to cover a whole burial. Cover most of it, but it will definitely adequately cover a cremation and also leave a little bit behind for her, for your daughter. But if you wanted burial, you're probably better off with something like anywhere between 15 and 20,000.
Yeah, and
are you, by the way, are you smoker or non-smoker? Because obviously, it's more expensive for smokers.
Oh, definitely a non-smoker. Definitely a non-smoker.
Okay. So do you have any idea? I have no problem. There's no commitment here, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay, you're not committed to anything. But just for your information, do you have any idea what $10,000 or $20,000 worth of coverage costs? Like, what do you think it costs a month? Do you have any idea? Have you ever gotten any quotes?
It's definitely going to be under 100. But
okay,
maybe like 60, 70, probably somewhere around there. Maybe 20,000 will be over 100. I think that's a high number, but definitely for like the 12, 15.
Probably, yeah, I think you're probably right. And basically, I have what they call a quote comparer. So I'm just going to put in here 10,000, 15,000, just so you know. Okay,
yeah.
It's just good to know. I mean, I never knew, but now I know. But anyway, because I had no idea, and I'm 61, so I just got life insurance a couple of years ago when I got into this business, but I never had it either, But let's see, what's your date of birth again?
March 19th, 1955.
March 1955. Okay. And you use a bank account, right?
Right.
You have a bank account, right? Good.
Yes.
Let's see. Okay. And how's your health? Good?
Excellent.
Oh, perfect. Very good. That's the best. Hold on one. That makes it really easy. Because then you have a lot of options here. Let's see. Where's my... Okay. So preferred. So you know the difference between let me tell you very simple. There's different kind of insurance. What they call level, graded, and modified. Level means that's first day coverage when you have good health. That means that if God forbid something happening tomorrow, your daughter would get the full face amount. Where people who have poor health, sometimes there's a 2-year waiting period.
Wow.
So I always try to get people obviously into level at preferred rates. Preferred rates would be someone who's got great health. Standard rates would be someone with average health, and then obviously modified would be like poor health. So having said that, I can tell you it's female. Females are always cheaper than males, by the way. I just did one earlier today. It was $100 less per month. I couldn't believe it, just because they were female. I feel gypped on that. But anyway, so just to let you know, yeah. And I can tell you right now that, man, you're pretty close. So $20,000 worth of coverage. By the way, I'm sure you heard of. I also can see which carrier has the best price for you. And it looks like in California, it's Aetna, which is, Aetna, right?
Yeah.
The reason why Aetna is so good is because they do health and life, so they do big volume. And health is their big thing, so they're able to, they don't just make money on health. They make money on life, too. And by the way, you have Medicare?
Yeah.
Do you have Aetna Medicare? Like, do you have a supplemental? Or do you use, like, a Medicare Advantage plan? What do you have?
It's through United Healthcare. I don't remember the exact name of it, but it's...
Okay, you're using United. Okay.
Yeah.
And is that like, when you go to the doctor, is it in the network? Or is it or you go to any doctor you want?
It has to be a network, I believe.
Okay, so you have United Healthcare, what they call managed, it's not managed, Medicare Advantage plan is what you have. The reason why I mentioned this because, when you have straight Medicare, where you can go to any doctor you want, they only cover 80% of the allowable. And then basically people have to pay the other 20%, so they would have what they call a Medicare supplement plan. Those ones you always see advertised on TV. Again, like AARP offers that also, United Healthcare. And it's actually United Healthcare. Just AARP is, they just sell it under their name. It's just branded. But it's not, AARP is not an insurance company, obviously. Right. Anyway, because the reason why I ask is if you had straight Medicare, that is the only life insurance company that gives super preferred rates for someone who has their Medicare supplement plan also. But anyway, so I always ask everybody that. But the regular CVS Aetna is called Aetna Ascendo. And I'm not sure if you're aware that they own all the CVS pharmacies now, Aetna, in America. They basically have three plans. They call their Gold, Silver, and Bronze. And Gold is $20,000 face amount. And if something would happen to you due to an accident, anything besides natural causes, your daughter would get, a $40,000, and that would be $112.70 with the accidental death rider, which is like double indemnity type of thing, where it pays double. And then $15,000 is $79.10 a month, and with the accidental death rider, $85.40. And then their $10,000 coverage is only $53.90 per month, and with accidental coverage is $58.10. So for $50-$60 a month, you never have to worry about your daughter worrying about coming up with $10,000 if God forbid something happened to you.
That's really cheap.
And that's why I do this. Yeah, it's not bad, right? And by the way, and the other thing is people don't realize, don't know, it's not just for when you pass away. This has what they call living benefits, meaning it has three living benefit riders, what they call your chronic, critical, and terminal illness rider. So if God forbid something happened to you where you had a terminal, chronic, or critical illness, your doctor just writes a note, and you're able to access up to 50% of the death benefit while you're alive. And this is what they call whole life, meaning that it's exactly like it sounds. It's there for your whole life. The face amount never goes down. The premiums never go up. And it builds up cash value. So if you needed to borrow I'm sure you've heard of people borrowing from their life insurance policy, right?
Yeah.
So that's the policy this is. This isn't term where 10, 20, 30 years, 98% of the people outlive those. And that's why the insurance companies make so much money, because people don't even realize that. But these plans, people usually pass away because they have them until they pass away. And you're able to borrow against the policy. So it does take a couple of years to pay for the administrative, costs and the expenses of the policy. But after about 2 years, most of your premium goes to cash value anyway. So you're able to access the money if you need it while you're still alive. So it's not just like you're spending $53.90 and never going to see it, And the way you can really tell if it's a good deal or not, the way I tell my clients is you look at your age, and you're 68, right? So you say to yourself, okay, you look at your family tree sort of. I mean, there's no guarantee, obviously. No one knows when we're going to pass away. But, I mean, just out of curiosity, your parents, do they live a long life, or they live what ages were they when they passed on?
They were in their 90s, so, I mean,
oh, good.
They're pretty healthy, so I'm healthy, so we'll last.
Oh, good. Great. So you have this, that's great. So let's just say, you live till you were 90, right?
Right.
So it's 22 years from now, right? So you basically take $54 times what is it? 12. How many months would that be? Let's see. I just off the top of my head. let's see. And that's how you can figure out, like, who wins. You or the insurance company. You know what I mean? Like, how many, like, what year do I break even, right? So $53.90 times 12, you're paying $646.80 per year. If you would live, say, 10,000 divided by 646, 10,000 divided by 646 is 15. So basically, in 15 and a half years, you'd break even. So you'd have to live more than 15 and a half years for the insurance company to make any money on this policy, right? And that's how you have to look at it. So you're 68, so that means that's going to be 78, 88, right?
Right.
68, 78, yeah, about 80, after age like 83 or 84, then the insurance company is the winner, if you want to look at it that way. But at least, not everybody lives that long, unfortunately, right? But hopefully, praise the Lord, we do. But that's what it comes down to. So, it's up to you. If you want to spend $54 a month, I mean, can I tell you how you should look at it? This is how I look at it. People don't realize this. I say, how come everybody, because let's be honest, most people don't, like, rank life insurance as a priority, right? Most people don't, right? But they consider their auto insurance is a priority, their homeowners insurance, right, is a priority, their phone, telephone, cell phone insurance, that's a priority, right? But, like, when I ask somebody, like, what's the thing what's most important to you? And they say, my family. I'm like, well, then why is that the only thing you don't insure? You know what I mean? It's like, that should be the first thing you insure, right? Not the last thing. So, and when they go, you're kind of right about that. And I never thought of it that way. And then they get the policy because they realize, like, I think I'm looking at this backwards, Like, my car's more important than my family? How do you figure, So, it's just something to think about. That's how I look at it, But that's, that's everyone's choice. But anyway, that's how it is. So, it's up to you. You let me know what you want to do. You have my number. And, if you decide, you don't want, and if you want to sit down with your daughter and you decide you want to do $20,000, at least now you know it's going to be about $106, $7 a month for $20,000. And $20,000 will cover your burial and also leave probably about $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 left over for her. Yeah. How old is your daughter, by the way?
40. So she'll hopefully last a long time too.
So does she have the means to pay for your funeral right now if something happened to you?
She probably could add it for savings, but I don't want to leave her that burden. I'd rather just have it taken care of already.
Exactly.
You have a point, so,
Exactly. That's exactly it. Yep. I don't blame you. Yep. My kids are much younger. I got married late. My kids are like 21 and 22, so they don't have the money anyway. I was just like, so to me, it's like they couldn't even raise it if they wanted to,
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm saying to myself, like, what would happen if God forbid something happened tomorrow? Like, they'd have to, like, go, like, do, like, a GoFundMe or, like, knock on the neighbor's doors. I mean, how are we supposed to come up with, 10, 15,000? And the other thing, by the way, is this is how I originally got into this business. In 2019, my dad passed away. He was 91, and he was living in Florida. And my mom is buried in New York, right, because my parents are from New York. They were like snowbirds. And my dad, like, he was a wealthy guy, millions of dollars, but, like, when he was in his 80s, he did, stupid things, started, like, big day trading, and then he got, like, Alzheimer's, and he, people don't realize, but, like, you can go through millions of dollars very quickly when you're elderly, because he didn't want to go into a nursing home, so he spent, like, he had, like, round-the-clock aides coming to his house, and it was a couple $100,000 a year, and then, playing stock market, and between me and you, he had, like, probably $5 million, and then by the time he passed away, he had nothing. So, like, my whole inheritance, me and my brother and my sister, we got nothing, and next thing you know, it's like, okay, now what do we do? And by the way, this was like December of 2019, so, like, the whole, like, right before the whole COVID thing started, and it was like, okay, so what do we do? And then we find out it was, like, $13,000 to ship his body from Florida to New York. And we didn't have $13,000. So my dad, he didn't have a will where he put, like, I want to be buried or I want to be cremated. But I know my dad didn't want to be cremated. But, like, but we had no choice. So that's how I got into this, because I was like flipping out because I was going to like figure out a way to raise the money on my own. But unfortunately, I have a brother and a sister, and I kind of got outvoted. And my brother was like, "No, we're not wasting money on this. I'm not going to, waste my money trying to, So they kind of, what's the word, outdid me or whatever, and they outvoted me. And my father ended up getting cremated, And I was just like freaked out by the whole thing, because I never even like thought about cremation, My mom was buried, but so anyway, he got cremated, and then we had to wait until then COVID came. And we had to wait like months before we could, I think it was like a year or something like that, before my sister finally got on a plane. Was able to get on a plane with the urn, And then we actually but my father, they had a plot, right? My mom was buried, and my father had a spot right next to her, and they have a nice, beautiful stone, monument and all that. But like my dad's buried in his urn, my mom's in the casket, And I was like, this is kind of weird, but. But that's what happened. So I was like, when I first thought about this industry, I'm like, it was a personal thing for me, because it actually happened to me, And I don't, people they don't expect it to happen to them. Like I didn't, and I'm like, I got to try to at least, we all have to make a living, right? That's why we do this, obviously. Right. But at the same time, it's nice to help people. And that's what I've always done my whole life. I think I might have told it earlier. I spent most of my career in clinical practice. I make artificial limbs, and I've helped a million, disabled kids, and with braces and all that. And I've got so much, self gratification from it. I also made a very good living. So, like, what's better than being able to make a living doing something that's helping people, right? And unfortunately, I couldn't do that anymore because I had a spinal injury of my own. But at least, if you can make a living, at least make one where you're helping people at the same time. And I really believe life insurance. I never knew it my whole life, but I see as a retirement tool, as an investment tool when you're young, what they call index universal life and annuities and stuff. I also do. These are all really good things that people really need. So I'm really happy doing this these days. To be honest with you, I like it. Make a good living and I've helped people. So I can't really ask for more than that. Anyway, that's the story. So. You have my name, you have my number, and if you decide, sit down with your daughter, and, it's something that, like I said, most people, it's not until something happens that they actually say now's the time, but then again, we're not getting any younger, right? My mom actually passed away at your age. I was looking at 68. My mom died young, My dad lived a long life, but, you never know.
You never know.
You never know, yep. Okay? So at least you have some idea now of what it costs, and my guess is it's probably less than you thought, right?
Oh, definitely, yeah. I mean, what's $100?
Yeah.
Like, come on, it's...
Yep. And the other thing, by the way, is just so you know, every year it's going to get more expensive, because life insurance is based on three things: the state you live in, your age, and your health. So the best time to get life insurance is the younger you are and the healthier you are. So don't wait, because it's only going to get more expensive.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yep. Okay?
Sounds good.
I hope I educated you today, and I hope to hear from you. I hope you tell me that you want life insurance one day. Surprise me.
We'll go and have a nice discussion, and we'll see. I think I might just give in and let her do her Rolls Royce funeral. I mean, it's what she wants. Let her have it, but we'll see. We'll talk about it.
Very good. Okay, it's a pleasure talking to you.
Likewise. Thanks, Robert.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye.